Okay guys, are you ready to start learning how to create social media graphics using Photoshop's clipping mask tool? Very exciting. So you should have received a zip file, which is available with the class. Now, if you double click on the zip file, it will take its time, but it will expand into a folder and you can access the files inside. So what we'll be working with today is we're going to recreate something like this. All these individual graphics, and then I'll get you to create your own graphic with your own images and colors and text, and you can get really creative with this. Okay, so what we'll learn here is the famous clipping mask, which is essentially placing an image inside a shape, any shape really, as you can see here. We'll learn how to create these very cool brushes that are available inside Photoshop. We'll learn how to work with text and color and so much more. And you'll be able to apply these skills to really any type of social media graphic that you like. So let's close this and let's open up the clipping mask WF working file. Now I'm currently using a Mac, so this is what my icon looks like. But if you are using a PC, you will see a PS, which is the Photoshop icon. It will be blue. So just pay attention to the name and you can go ahead and double click on it and open it up. And it will open up automatically Photoshop. Right, first things first, we need to make sure that our Photoshop interfaces look more or less the same. And we do this by changing something called the workspace, which is a preference of how you look at Photoshop. So you can choose which panels, these are panels, you would like to see, which tools. And if we can go to Window, Workspace. And for today, we're going to use Essentials Default. And our Photoshop should look more or less the same. Okay, a very quick overview of the Photoshop Essentials. So very importantly, we have the Layers panel at the bottom. Now you will see a list of artboards. Now each artboard represents the artboard over here. So here you can see artboard 2, copy 5, lots of copies, which will be available here. This artboard is that artboard. And inside each artboard, so if you click on the arrow so it faces downwards over here, you will see the layers inside that artboard. So every time you place something in Photoshop, a layer will be automatically created and added in its artboard. So all these layers are all these graphics that you see in this artboard. Now what's important is that you always go to the Move tool. This is a Move tool and you kind of always want to go to that tool as a default setting. Now the key is to select the artboard that you'll be working on and you'll see that it will be highlighted over here, but there's nothing inside. So this might look a little bit overwhelming. So what I like us to do is to close every artboard by clicking on the little arrows that faces to the right. And so none of these are expanded. They're all closed, so they're all facing to the right. And we're just going to expand artboard 4, which is this one. This is the one we'll be working with. So what we'll do is we're going to recreate each of these graphics. We'll start with this one, and we're going to recreate it over here. And then later, I'll get you to recreate your own exercise and your own artboards and create your own from there. Okay, let's start with this one. So let me zoom in for a moment. The shortcut for zooming in is Command for Macs, Command plus, and for PCs, Control plus. Make sure that artboard 4 is selected and that you've clicked on artboard 4. Okay, let's start adding these graphics. So first of all, we'll start with this rectangle over here, and we're going to look at the swatches panel over here. So swatches are essentially saved colors, and you should be able to see these colors saved. So these will be the colors that we'll be working with. Now, if you don't have these colors, that's absolutely fine. I will show you how to copy these colors. Right, so let's start with this rectangle. So I would like us to go to the rectangle tool over here, and I would like us to look at the fill and the stroke at the top. So the fill is the color that the shape will be filled with, and the stroke is a border. So a shape like this will have no fill, and we'll just have this border, quite a figure one, so we'll have to change it over here. So what we can start with is, one of my tricks is, I'm going to create a rectangle, click and drag from one corner to the other, so it covers the whole page. And now what we're going to do is change the fill, remove the fill, and add a stroke. Now these options are available as well here in the Properties panel. You'll see the same option, fill and stroke, and the border size. So I want us to click on the fill and click on this little strike through, which will remove the fill. And I would like us to click on stroke this time and pick this color. Now, if you don't see this color, absolutely fine. What you can do alternatively is click on the color picker. And if you hover and click over the color you want, you'll see a color picker or a eyedropper, and you can click on that color and it will give you that color that you need. Then you can click on OK. Now we don't see the border just yet because the width of the border is 0 pixels. So let's change that. So if you click on this arrow here and you increase, you will start to see the border. That's actually quite nice to have a border like that, but we're going to have to resize our border so it's similar to this one. Right, to do this, we have to go to the Move tool, and I'm going to show you a little trick and a shortcut to resize this rectangle. First, check that you're on the correct layer, the rectangle that you've just created. And second, you need to go to Edit, Free Transform, or Command T or Control T for PCs. When you do this, you'll be able to resize it. If you want to resize it from the center, so there's equal width all around, you need to hold down the Alt or Option key, and it will do a nice job. And voila, like we say in French. Very good. Moving on to these. Probably the most exciting part is a clipping mask. This is called a clipping mask.